What is happening right now in the black community, you're going to hear it in this room first. There is an ideological civil war happening. Black people that are focused on their past and shouting about slavery, and black people that are focused on their futures. Victim mentality is not cool. I don't know why people like being oppressed. It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. I love oppression. We're oppressed. 400 years of slavery, Jim Crow, which, by the way, none of you guys lived through. Your grandparents did, and it's embarrassing that you utilize their history. You utilize their history, and you come in here with more emotion than they ever had when they were living through it. More emotion than they ever had when they were living through it. It's embarrassing. You're not living through anything right now. You're overly privileged Americans.
I think we are in desperate need of new voices in the black community. We are in desperate need of somebody that will stand on a platform and say, hey, it's actually not cool to be a victim. There's no value in being a victim. You win no awards for being a victim. Unless you're Colin Kaepernick.
The fear politics pisses me off, and that's what they do. Every 4 years, it's fear politics. Well, you gotta vote for us because racism. It's not, that's manipulating us. That's using fear to control what we do, okay? We have a right to just be presented with the facts and being allowed to make a decision on our own. That's my really perspective. That's the big thing that's been so controversial. Candace Owens thinks that the black community should be spoken to about what's going on in their communities. They shouldn't be thrown Jay-Z and Beyonce concerts a la Hillary Clinton.
You know, I make strong statements and I say that I don't believe in the welfare system, because look at what it has earned people that have gone onto the welfare system. Absolutely nothing.
What do they want? What are they protesting?
Just us being conservative. You're not allowed to be a conservative thinker and eat breakfast publicly, apparently. We've done nothing. We said nothing. I think the restaurant owner was shocked at that moment when they realized that their friends had arrived. They shouted at us in the restaurant, calling us Nazis and fascists. And I said, do you realize I'm a black woman? You're calling me a Nazi.
Was there ever a point in history where white privilege did exist?
Yeah, I suppose when we lived in a country where if you were black, you were not allowed to go into certain places.
When did it end?
When it stopped being systemic, when there stopped being laws in place that stopped me as a black person doing what you are able to do as a white man. If you ask me whether or not I believe in economic privilege, I would tell you yes. If you ask me whether or not I think that somebody born into a family of billionaires will be afforded more privileges in life than somebody that is born in the projects of Chicago, I would say yes, because economic privilege in this country does exist. But there is no law in place that is stopping a person because of the color of their skin from gaining that economic privilege, which is why I do not believe that white privilege, which is based upon the color of your skin, exists. If you're asking me, do I think the black community has been crippled economically, the answer would be yes. It has been crippled economically by Democrat policies. You just heard me say that in there.
Democrats are Americans. Democrats are in America, so therefore you just admitted that there has been disadvantages by two black people by Democrats who are Americans. You just admitted it.
It is not based off. You asked me if white privilege exists. The answer is white privilege. Because you're born white, that means you're going to not have this or that. It does not exist. No. This is what I love about white liberals, right? Like, they know it's so important for them to sell us our oppression that they'll come up and tell us we're a disgrace. Just say it.
Can you speak for all black people?
Well, why don't you stop speaking for black people? That would be great, okay?
I'm not.
Why don't you let him, who's shaking his head and rolling your eyes, speak about his experience as a black man?
We can have a conversation later.
No, because you're sitting here yelling at me, telling me, and I'm telling you the answer. Economic privilege exists. You're saying why does it disproportionately affect blacks? Because we're disproportionately voting for Democrats, and it's stupid.
A lot of Republicans, for the longest time, were the place to go for the African-American vote, but it's something switched in the 60s.
It is taught to us that Lyndon Baines Johnson is the best president that ever happened to the black community, which could not be further from the truth. His Great Society Act, which proliferated the welfare state. Think about what that's brought Americans today. $22 trillion paid into the welfare system, and black Americans are poorer today than we were in the 1960s.
In school, I learned that choice was good. The word choice is good. The left is incredibly good at linguistics. Planned Parenthood. That sounds nice. I want to plan my parenthood. But in reality, they're murdering babies. Choice. Choice is good. I want choices. But in reality, one of those choices is to murder.
I have been very vocal in my support for Brett Kavanaugh. We have reached peak lunacy on the left. And this is, by the way, the most disgusting thing that they have done yet. Politicizing sexual assault and politicizing rape and this sort of a thing. I spoke out early on against the Me Too movement because I thought the writing was on the wall early on of exactly what they were going to do. Any movement that is rooted in victimization is going to be hijacked and weaponized by the left. So during the 2016 election cycle, I was watching our wonderful president take a run for the White House, and the conversation was very strange. The rhetoric that the media was using was extremely aggressive. They were trying to convince me that he was a racist, that he was a sexist, that he was a misogynist, at one point that he was incestuous, right? They started that horrible story about Ivanka Trump, and at one point that he was a rapist. And I said, this is very strange. I grew up in a household listening to hip hop music. Trump was glorified in a lot of those music and a lot of those songs. And all of a sudden they wanted me to believe that he was a racist. So I had to ask myself in that moment, is it plausible that racism is being used as a theme to turn black people into single-issue voters? And the answer to that question is, of course, yes.
As this president has increasing good outcomes from some of his policies, they're getting completely unhinged. It's getting worse.
It is. And I think my particular presence obviously annoys them because I'm a black American. And we had that Rasmussen poll released last week, which showed that Donald Trump's support from black Americans has doubled since this time last year. And that is quite remarkable. It's because black America is waking up. We are starting to understand that it is the left that is angry. It is the left that is violent. And it is traditionally and still the Democrats that are racist.
I scrolled the names. We never heard of these 4,000 people shot and killed.
Well, listen, that's because Chicago is run by Democrats, and they never want to hold up a mirror to what they're doing, so that's why we never heard those names. 4,000, that's exactly right. That's the exact same number, about the same number of Americans that were slaughtered in the Iraq War.
Well, let me say something. I want to see Trump be successful because this is our country, but I don't think he is focusing on the issues that really affect black America. I hope he would, though.
So then you must agree that Obama was not focusing whatsoever on the issues that were affecting black America if you don't think that Trump is right now, because the numbers are in and blacks are doing better under his administration. Imagine if a bunch of people in MAGA hats and Make America Great Again hats saw a black liberal in a restaurant and said, you can't eat here, get out. This would be wall-to-wall coverage on every network, and we would never hear the end of it. But that's because they have decided that racism is okay, violence and harassment is okay, so long as it's against conservatives. Of course she's talking about slavery. Of course she's talking about black people. We are her favorite prop to use when she wants to drum up emotion and illogical sense of fear. She loves to use the minority community at large, whether that be gay people, whether that be illegals. This is exactly what she does all the time. And look, I'll say this. If Hillary Clinton is so concerned about the enslavement of black people, a good time to speak about that would have been when she was the first lady and her husband passed the crime bill of 1994, which, as a fact, locked up more black men than any president in the history of the United States. So I find all of this to be ridiculous, but it's standard for Hillary Clinton. For so long, they have told us that because there was a black president, this meant progress. Progress is not a skin tone. Progress is a number. Someone had told me that, hey, Candace, the argument for pro-choice is that Planned Parenthood also does a lot of really great things, and I'm sure that's true. They supply birth control pills, and they conduct mammograms, and women can go there for other health concerns. And I say that's really great, but they're also murdering people. It's a tremendous time to be a black American. It's a tremendous time to be an American whatsoever. And it just feels amazing. And we're excited. And no matter what Hillary Clinton does at this point, she's just doing herself a disservice. And she's helping President Trump secure his election in 2020. We do college campus tours. It's terrifying. It's actually terrifying. There's this idea that it's virtuous. You can't speak as a conservative on campus without being boycotted, without being protested, without students lining up and playing music loudly so that they can drown out the sound of your voices. Now, we're not speaking about anything controversial at Turning Point USA. We believe in free markets and capitalism, the founding principles of this country, and the students hate that. And they don't hate that, as Katie mentioned, they don't hate that because they formed these ideas. They hate that because they have been indoctrinated to hate that. So I say that college campuses are literal liberal indoctrination camps. And that is why I understood, especially in terms of me wanting to wake up black America, which is my highest priority, that was an extremely important vertical to hit. It is how I ended up as a liberal. It is how I ended up thinking that perhaps socialist principles could save the world. The most important battle that we are facing in this country today, and what conservatives did wrong, was handing over the school systems to the left, allowing them to take that over. And it is the most important battle that we are fighting today. A year ago, I was a girl on YouTube with the dream, an idea, a hope that maybe I could wake up the black community into understanding that we've been voting for policies that have destroyed our families. I could never have imagined that it would lead to me meeting the president, meeting the first family, having lunch with
Laura and Eric, Kanye West, getting rushed out of restaurants by Antifa. It's been an amazing year. I'm so grateful to everyone that's followed me, that's supported me, to Turning Point USA, to Charlie Kirk. It's been such a blessing. And guess what? We're just getting started.